9 billion respectively during the corresponding period. Forestry, losses of 31 billion, and bauxite, losses of 31 billion, and forestry losses of $9 billion. In the forestry sector, when we came in, the Forestry Commission was virtually closed. Employees were not paid for months and there was no money in the bank account. The total loss in output for these three sectors amounted to $61.5 billion, or 8% of GDP in 2019. That is what we inherited. Between sugar, bauxite, and forestry. Losses in output of $61.5 billion, or 8% of GDP in 2019 at 2012 prices. In terms of export revenue, the decline in the sectors contributed to approximately more than $283 million in losses. This, of course, saw more than 60% of the mining industry closed, production stopped. More than 30,000 persons, directly and indirectly, lost their jobs. More than 25,000 persons, directly and indirectly, in the forestry sector, lost their jobs. More than 7,000 families, directly in the sugar industry, were sent to the breadline. That is what we inherited in 2020. Today, through great policies, we have been able to deploy back investment in the mining sector. We have full participation once again in the mining sector. The forestry sector is again able to pay its bills, returning those jobs that were lost. And in sugar, we have been continuously investing and returning the jobs and taking those families off of the breadline. Bauxite, in those years, lost thousands of jobs. Today, we have been able to return more than 1,000 jobs to the bauxite industry, and this is expected to grow rapidly before the close of this year. So because of the rapid decline in these key sectors, more than 50,000 persons were without a job during 2019, according to the Bureau of Statistics. Despite widespread unemployment and declining income, the previous government introduced over 200 taxes that saw tax revenue increase from $136 billion to $226 billion. Indeed, their method of economic growth was taxation, 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 wasteful spending, and policies that crippled the productive sector. The higher tax burden also translated into decline in private consumption. And this is important. During those years, consumption declined. That is the ability of the citizens to participate in the economy, to buy, to consume supplies from the economy. If you can't buy and consume what is in the economy, then there's a problem. Retail suffers. So as a result, what happened? We saw private consumption reduce from 82.7% of GDP in 2014 to 53% of GDP in 2019. Unable to service their loans during 2014 and 2019, non-performing loans for the households and businesses increased twofold. This was the plight of the working class. They could not have afforded to repay their loans. This is what we inherited. Non-performing loans, that is, people's inability to repay their loans, grew twofold by 2019. Importantly, the households, at a household level, at a family level, that is where there was a huge hit in 2019. When you compare 2019 and 2018, non-performing loans increased by 1.9 billion or 22%, from 1.9 billion in 2018 by 22%. By 22%. By the time we got into government, the size of the non-performing loan portfolio was $10.6 billion at a household level. These were families who could no longer repay their loans. To summarize this, the economy was on decline. Unemployment was widespread. Our citizens were punished with more than 200 new taxes and found it difficult to pay their loans to the commercial bank. Apart from inheriting this broken economy in 2020, my government assumed office at a time when the entire world was faced with a pandemic. The entire world was faced with a pandemic when we assumed office. The economy was further impacted by the election impasse. So, when we came into office, we had the pandemic. We had to divert resources to fight the pandemic for 2 years with no infrastructure. In less than a month, operationalizing a hospital, getting vaccines, protecting the citizens, protecting our healthcare workers. We've had to do so whilst at the same time we were faced with a staggering bank overdraft at $114 billion at the end of 2019. So that is the bill they left us with, an overdraft in the banking sector of $114 billion. Since assuming office, my government has had the unenviable task of resuscitating the economy while navigating multiple crises, including the COVID-19 pandemic, the global supply chain crisis, the global food crisis, and the global energy crisis. Given the state of our economy under the previous government, the PPP civil government committed in its manifesto to rescuing the productive sector, creating 50,000 jobs, removing the punitive tax imposed on our citizens, investing in health, education, housing, and water sector, and expanding the physical infrastructure across the country. These promises were directly related to benefiting and improving the life of the working class. So upon assuming office, the government immediately launched the 25,000 cash grant to household, depositing more than $7.5 billion in the pockets of people. Additionally, we announced a number of measures that were agreed with the local banks to ease the burdens of citizens and businesses with outstanding loans during the pandemic. These included the lowering of interest rate and an extension of the moratorium of loan payment. This relief amounted to $28 billion. Addressing directly the issue of non-performing loans, addressing the welfare of the working class. In our first budget in 2020, my government reversed the punitive taxes that the previous government introduced. By fulfilling this manifesto promises, taxpayers saved tens of billions of dollars in taxes. Tens of billions of dollars of taxes was returned in the pockets of the people, the working class people of this country. Keeping faithful to this manifesto promise, the government implemented numerous initiatives to rescue the productive sector. Today, all the key sectors are not only reporting higher output levels, but have created countless jobs. If you look at the investment in housing, jobs that the government would have created directly is in excess of 65,000 jobs. When you add the jobs that has been created from government expenditure and investment and investment in the productive sector and the private sector, safely, in the last 3.5 years, we have been able to create more than 65,000 jobs across the country. This is in excess of the 50,000 new jobs we would have promised in the manifesto. We've also fulfilled our promise to rehire the 2,000 CSOs, and the sugar workers who were fired by the previous government. We restored the joint services bonus. Since its introduction, it has cost the government more than $4.7 billion. Apart from increasing wages in the public sector, we've implemented numerous initiatives that could have indirectly preserved the real wages of these workers. Some of these initiatives includes, and especially for the public servants who would have benefited, is an adjustment to the excise tax on fuel to absorb the impact of the volatile fuel prices. This has cost us $40 billion. $40 billion that would have been translated to impact the lives of ordinary people in increasing transportation costs, increase in fuel, increase in cooking gas. $40 billion we have absorbed by taking the excise tax to zero on fuel. We rolled back as a result of COVID. We forgot that the cost of import of containers grew by 1,000% in some cases, 1,500% in some cases. What we did, we rolled back freight charges to pre-pandemic levels. That is, this measure. So taxes were calculated on freight charges at pre-pandemic level. What this resulted to is a saving of $6 billion. It cost the government $6 billion. That is $6 billion we avoided from being translated to the families and the working class people. Outside of this, other cost of living measures to increase production while containing the impact of price increases. Containing price increases would have cost us $7 billion last year alone. To date, when you add the total value of the measures we implemented to contain price increases, that's $25.2 billion the government would have spent to ensure that these price increases did not impact the ordinary man. To ensure that the working class can have improved accessibility and affordability to housing, the government successfully negotiated low interest rate on mortgages for homeowners. Additionally, the government restored the ceiling on the mortgage interest relief for housing to $30 million. We not only restored the mortgage interest relief, but we increased it to $30 million. This initiative has cost the government more than $2.4 billion up to the end of 2023. $2.4 billion we have given back directly to the working people, to the working class of this country. Our interventions to improve the well-being of public servants were not limited to wages and salaries. Other initiatives implemented by the government, including scholarships for our citizens, including public servants under the Gold Scholarship Program, close to 30,000 scholarships issued, 75% of which went to women. Our promise of ensuring equitable distribution and equal access to the highest form of education, university education, to improve the working class condition of public servants. In the healthcare and education sector, the government has invested billions. This year alone, we plan to invest $135.2 billion in the education sector and $130 billion in the health sector. This is to ensure that we give our working class people access to the best education, the best health care. You've hired more than 6,000 new teachers. These are the real stories and real investments that we make continuously to uplift the lives of the working class people of our country. Apart from better working conditions, the investment will improve the quality of life for citizens. The increases in old age pension, the return of the Because We Care grant, all of these add to quality of life. Over 30,000 house lots were allocated, most of which went to the working class people. Apart from the across-the-board increase in salary, it is important to note the government also adjusted the salaries and allowances of various categories of public servants since it assumed office in 2020. And we can go through, I've done this before, whether it's teachers, whether it's the return of decency in the bauxite sector, the improvement in the productive sector, the 4,500 teachers who were given education allowances, costing us more than $500 million, the additional duty-free concessions granted to teachers, the adjustment we made in teachers' salaries amounting to $1.9 billion. And all of these increases too will also impact the gratuity and pensions of these teachers upon retirement. By the end of 2025, we'll also have more than 5,500 new teachers fully trained, and they will benefit from additional allowances. The task ahead of us is to continue on this trajectory, to ensure that our workers and every Guyanese enjoy a prosperous future, ensure that they live in prosperity, ensure that their lives and their family lives is transformed as our societies and our communities are transformed with treated water, better roads, better health care, better education, easier access to services, increased because we care grant to your children, increased old age pension, increased public assistance. All of these things add to ensure a higher standard and quality of living for the working class. For when your parents who are pensioners get increased pension, and your children who are going to school get an increase because we care grant, a school uniform grant, a family member that might have a disability goes on the permanent register for disability people, for disability, and they get a monthly allowance. When a relative who needs dialysis get an annual check from the government to support their dialysis treatment, all of this remove burden. All of this remove burden from the family, reduces the impact on your household income, make more disposable income available to you. And we're going to continue. Much prosperous days are ahead of us. We have to manage this period going up to 2027, 2030 carefully. And I can assure you that we will have one of the most upskilled, qualified workforce population in this region. That workforce and that population will see matching benefits, matching salaries, higher quality of life, better standard of living, higher and better access to healthcare services, education services. So to our workers out there, I want to congratulate you and thank you for all the hard work that you put in every single day to make our country better, to make our communities better, to make our society better. All the hard work and sacrifice you make in uplifting your families and uplifting our country. Together we're going to work to ensure that your future, your children's future, and your family life is one of prosperity. We will and we must together on this as we approach Labor Day 2024. Let us do so unified in our voices. Let us do so together, celebrating one Guyana, uplifting each other, and assuring ourselves that the most prosperous days are still ahead of us. Let us rally together as we go past 2027, when the revenue stream will increase, when our economy will be diversified, and when all of us, when together as a people, we will see further prosperity and benefit from further prosperity. my government stays committed in its quest through
Its
targeted
quest
intervention to help
targeted
the
intervention
vulnerable, the
to
poor,
help
the oppressed,
vulnerable, the
the working
poor,
class,
the
whilst at
oppressed,
the same
the
time
working class,
stimulating the
while at the
economy
same time
and building policies that
stimulating
will
the
grow the
economy
private sector,
and building policies that will
expand
grow the
job
private
creation,
sector,
open up new
expand jobs,
opportunity, and enhance the welfare and well-being of all Guyanese. Happy Labor Day 2024, and God bless all of you and your families. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some people might say Mr. President, but thank you. A special thank you on behalf of my friends and my followers here. Thank you so much to His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, the President of the Republic, or the Cooperative Republic of Ghana, as some may say as well. A pleasant good morning to each and every one of you, and thank you for being a part of that discussion this morning that I believe that was and is needed presently in the political atmosphere um, that we're living in. And it is good to know that people out there are concerned. It is good to know that people out there are eager to hear what is the next move, what is the plans, what is there to benefit as Guyanese. And if a persons who would have just tuned in, you can um, run that live back when this live is ended. You can run it back, and I need you to listen to that speech. It is important that you listen to that speech because there is so much that you can learn there. Right? Somebody say you had 4 years to do all of that talking of that you're talking of, sir, election next year. Um, well, good morning to all the negatives. I saw, it's an early morning when they will come on their programs with their craps. However, they are entitled to freedom of speech. We don't deprive persons from sharing their opinions. Neither we should not deprive of ours as well. So once again, if you would have listened to that speech by His Excellency, he would have put everything in a nutshell, summarize it, so you can understand so far of what has been done within a short period of time. The PPPC-led administration is in government for almost 4 years. It's not a completed 4 years it is yet. All right. And so far, and I keep saying this, I can attest to this, and I know many of you on this program this morning can attest to this, that the government would have fulfilled its manifesto plans. In less than 4 years, this administration would have delivered. And before this 5 years term is completed, the government will even do more than is on that manifesto. Because why? You have a government that is working for the working class people. You have a government that is working for all Guyanese. You have a government, you have a president that does not seize race, religion, or your political affiliation. And this is the kind of government that you need. This is the kind of government that I need. This is the kind of government that any country needs. And there are some times when you need to set aside your differences. There is times when you need to set aside your egos and work for the best interest of, number one, you, your future, your generation, and your community, and by extent, your country. But there is a small group of people Very small, and that's why I use the term small, because they are small. And every single day, when their lies are being exposed, they're shrinking. And I'm speaking specifically of the APNU, AFC, PNC led cabals. Every day they are shrinking because their lies are being exposed, not only in Guyana, but around the world. Look at what recently happened when the president would have visited New York. There's a lot of people who became upset of that. You had people like Burke, you had people like Mark Benchcop, you had people like Coretta McDonald, you had people like Norman Brown, and all these irrelevant people. We're not calling their names because they're relevant. They are irrelevant. Those are people who are scrambling for somewhere in the sun, but they will have to be there for a very long time. These people will get old and die. Sad to say so, but we all have to die. I'm not wishing death upon them, but we all have to die. These people will get old and they will vanish away, and they will never ever see the office or offices of this government or any government. They will never again have the control over our resources to take advantage of us, the average Guyanese, the average people again. This will never happen. And we don't have to do that by force. All we are doing is doing what we're supposed to do as a government. And we will continue to strive for the best interests of you, the people, for us, the people. So this is nothing about hastiness. This is nothing about tarnishing people's character. This is not about going after persons individually. This is about the reality that is out there. This is not about preaching of boycotting businesses. Just imagine that. You can go on a platform to try to speak to the people, to tell the people to boycott businesses who supported the visit by His Excellency. What authority do you have to do so? And by extent, what are the alternatives that you have in place? Because, like, for instance, you're telling a man, don't go to the roti shop and buy roti no more. But the man like roti, so Mr. Benchcop or whatever your name is, I don't even know your name probably. What systems you have in place? What alternative you have? Can you make roti, Mr. Benchcop? Do you have a roti shop or something? No. That is the thing. These people just wake up on a morning and decided to themselves, based on a dream that they had, that, you know what, we're going to make a hell out of the PPPC government. But that will never happen. Because you are visionless, you are weak, you are incompetent. And most of all, you are irrelevant. Nobody recognizes you. The only thing people know of you is that you are the distractors and the destructions to progress in this country. I am so thankful that our president, our government, had looked past that, where they are unbothered. Nothing you say and preach out there can or will never, ever, ever affect the progress of the PPPC government moving forward. People like myself, who was lost, we found our way home because we would have seen, we would have experienced the blunt of it the way you treated us, the people. So when you see people coming over, when you see people make decisions or a decision to support this government, it's not because of personal benefits, but it's because people see and know and they understand that their future is well secured under this administration. So what we can call on and what we can say to those people that who continue to follow these bunch of propagandists, these bunch of visionless people that has nothing to offer, you should boycott them. Stop following these people. They have nothing good to offer. Look at it. These people sit in their basements on a daily basis from 2020 to now, preaching hate, preaching racism, preaching boycott, preaching distraction. And so far, what have they garnered? So far, what have they gained? What attention they have gained? Internationally, locally, none whatsoever. Because people are not stupid. People are seeing for themselves. People are dealing with reality. This has nothing to do with hate. And we have to continue to debunk the lies and the narratives of these visionless people because they have nothing good to offer, nothing good to see. I want to take this opportunity here this morning to say to my brother, Jermaine Figueroa, I guess by now everybody would have seen that article. And I share the sentiment of Mr. Figueroa 100%. Because while I work with that administration, the APNUFC administration, if any one of them who jump out to speak against me and call me soup drink and all these things, they can attest, if they are honest enough and they are fair enough, they can tell the people of the back and forth that they had with me personally under that administration. The back and forth was because I resisted corruption. I resisted advantage being taken on the average people. But like the normal saying of the PNC, we are in power and we do what we want. But there's a saying, you can do what you want, but not as long as you want. And that is why their time was cut short. They feast on the life of the people to fill their own selfish gains. That is what the PNC did. They feast on even the small parties that were a part of their coalition, who had little to say, who had little power to do. That is what the PNC did. And that is why the people of Guyana stood up and they would have spoken by a one finger with a little ink on it on the 2nd of March 2020. And although the people would have spoken democratically, they even tried to ignore that to hold this country hostage for 5 months. 5 years, 5 months. So when people come out here to speak, we don't come out here. There's a time and a place for everything. I always understand that. But we wouldn't come out there to continuously bash you for no reason. We come out to expose the hypocrisy of these same people who's pointing the fingers. They're trying to force the government to do things or to do magic. Things that they could have done They try to force this government to do it. But what they fail to understand, that Bart Jagdeo, the general secretary, the leader of this party, had a plan. Had a plan since the PPPC left office in 2015. Bart Jagdeo and his team worked day and night from 2015 to 2020, the 1st of August. Consistency is what is important. Consistency is where you will be successful. We had a bunch of people who like to wake up 9 and 10 o'clock. Imagine you are a minister of government and people have to wait on you until you come into work. Not as if you have some important engagement or engagements and you're meeting with people somewhere else. You're home, you're sleeping. And going back to Mr. Figueroa, kudos to you, sir. Because if we have politicians like you on the opposite side, I will say again, it will be in a better place. Because why? You understand the power of reasoning, and you would have shown the world, you would have shown Guyana your level of maturity, political maturity, to speak the facts and to be real. And this is what Guyana needs. We need sensitive. For matter of fact, let me just refrain from that. We need sensible politicians. We need positive politicians who can assess a situation and deal with the reality before us. This should never be about color or texture of hair. I don't know what is Figueroa's position right now, but I want to believe he was even cornered more. Because when the last time he shook the president's hand, we all know that Norton decided that he's going to shift Figueroa aside. But the man is an elected member of parliament. So they have to wait until that time is up. But I know for sure they have plans. They do have plans for him not to return to the National Assembly. That is their plans. So, guys, let me just get to the topic that I want to discuss here this morning, because I don't want to elaborate too much on things that doesn't make sense or is considered to be irrelevant to the present development of this country. As we know, today is a national holiday, Labor Day, and it's a very important day for all of us, especially those of the working class. And there are some things that I would want to speak on this morning, and I only wish that I can be specific to some of these businesses to point them out, especially here in Linden, that are taking advantage on their staff, on their workers. And this is happening on a daily basis. And for some reason, I believe that these staff or these workers would say to themselves that they have no representations or representation. So because for a mean of living, so because they have to sustain themselves and their families, Some of these are single parent, especially the female. They have to leave their child at the daycare center and go to work, or they have to leave the child with some grandmother or grandfather. And all these are considered to be threat to their livelihoods. Because when you leave your children in the hands of people, even today, even families, I don't trust. I believe the fittest person to take care of my children is me or their mother. Nobody else. Otherwise, in this circle in my home, nobody else is fit to take care of my kids. So the point I'm getting to actually, only yesterday afternoon, I'm going to show you. My wife was at a popular cosmetic store here in Linden. And when she came back, she explained to me what she just would have experienced or what she saw and heard. One of the staff apparently went to the boss lady and asked her to borrow the key because she needed to use the washroom. And the boss lady shouted at her and said, "Oh, somebody just went in the bathroom and they come out. You have to wait. You can't go in there now." You know, it's like there is no control over that. There's no control over somebody wanting to go to the washroom. You understand? Apart from that, the way they speak, because I visited that location on many occasions, the way they speak to their staff, the way they shout to them. Sometimes you wanted to know if those are their children. Or for a matter of fact, I don't even think they talk to them children like that. I wanted to know if those workers are slaves or something. There are some places when you go. I went to two Chinese supermarket, and you see these workers in a little room, like a little box. No proper light, no proper scent, no bench to sit on. They sit on the ground with a little bowl and they're eating out of that. In that room, this is how these workers are being treated. These people are going out there to earn a daily living. Because of these people as well, your businesses is flourishing because they are providing a service of labor to you, but yet you treat them as dirt. And this is an ongoing issue for a very long time, a number of years. And I don't believe anything is being done about it. Again, I want you to understand this because some persons might say, come out to say, "Oh, well, it's your government." Because that's the first thing people does. They point their hands at the government. Let me tell you what happened. In many occasions, people are going through those kinds of treatment, but the government is not there in that supermarket to know what you're going through. There's a process where you have to go to make a report to the labor officer or the chief labor officer within your region, and then they take actions. But the flip coin to that is that most people do not go to the labor for those situations because they are afraid of victimization. What I know for sure, anybody go to report their boss of unfair treatment on the job, they will be fired. These are the things that is happening. They will be fired. So we need to find a way. Systems need to be put in place so these people, these persons going out there can have justice. We cannot continue to treat those people as if they are animals. I went into that same particular store on many occasions, and see how these staff are being treated. I would have heard how they would have been, these people are talking to these staff. And that's only one. I went to different stores, and these are the things that are happening. And I believe that systems, strict systems, need to be put in place for these business peoples as well. I'm worried if these persons are being properly paid as well. I'm worried about that. A few weeks ago, I received a call from a young man who works at a security firm. They're not being paid on time. They're cutting the people's salary. They got the people working long hours. They're not paying them overtime, time and a half, and double. These are things people don't know. According to the CLA, which is a collective labor agreement, you are entitled to work only 40 hours per week. 40 hours, that is taxable per week. And you hear what I say, taxable. Mean taxes are only being deducted from 40 hours per week. After that 40 hours, anything else is considered as overtime. That is how it is. That is by law. If you would have worked 100 hours a week, just using the term, if you would have worked 100 hours per week, 40 of that has to be deducted, or you minus 40 of that hours, and that is taxable, and that is basic hours. Anything after that, you have 60 hours remaining. That should be considered as overtime. Understand? Overtime, you have overtime, and you have time and a half, and you have double. Time and a half, most of the time, will be on Saturdays. It mean you work 1.5. They consider it 1.5 hour. Like for instance, let us say if you work on a basic hour at $100, that means that when you work on Saturday, your salary, you will be paid $150 an hour. That is time and a half. On Sundays, you're supposed to be paid double. So if you work for $100, then on Sundays, you're supposed to be paid $200 per hour. You see, these are things that persons are not aware of, and this is why the advantages are being taken. Right? This is why the advantages is being taken. Right? Now, I want you to look at this comment. We have V.W. Singh. This is coming down from the commanding chief to well listen how the VP, aka the owner of Guyana, talk to staff. Mr. Singh, I would really appreciate if you can bring forward your evidence and let us debate it. And that is so childish of this individual VP, VW Singh, to bring that up. Here, why I said it is childish. If you have evidence of such, and you claim you have a point, bring it forward to us. But let me tell you something. That doesn't mean that if you grow up in an abusive home, then you should be abusive to your children. You have to be the change you want to see. So if you are claiming, Mr. Singh, that the VP talked to his staff so, does that mean that you, a businessman, should talk to your workers like that? That is so immature of you, brother. You understand? I would still like for you to bring forward your evidence. And if you want, you can call in on the live, the number on the bottom, and let us trash it out. Right? So these are the things that is happening to our workers on a daily basis. And not only in the private sector, but in the public sector as well. Right? In the public sector, you have people in various ministries and entities. They're treating the staff like mess. And some of them, I would say it very clear without any fear, some of them as well are those who are, for some reason, they believe, for a matter of fact, that they have some form of political backings, so you can treat your staff like that. It is not right. It is not fair. And if you continue to do so, you need to desist from that. But we have to also put into consideration that I don't believe, especially in these ministries or these RDCs or NDCs, wherever you work, I don't believe that these persons as well, your superiors, are my people to just come at you just like that. Because some of you public servants as well believes that you are doing us, the public, a favor by working there. When we are the one who are doing you a favor by paying our taxes for you to have a salary to sustain yourself. Some of you are unprofessional. When you go to these ministries and so on, you have to wait on daytime. You talking to staff and he or she on the phone and laughing and making jokes, and you stand up there and you got a taxi waiting on you outside. So this thing is not a one-side thing, Mr. Singh. This thing is a twofold. If you want to be respected, you have to act respectable and respect your superiors as well. If you are a respectable person and you doing your job and a superior come after you, then something definitely wrong, and that needs to be addressed. It must be addressed. So Andrew Mark is saying unprofessional is the key word. We can all do better to make the place better. It starts at home. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Mark. There's a lot of unprofessional persons working in some of these ministries and agencies. I've known it personally. I've experienced it personally. But I'm a different person. I don't care what ministry you work or whose secretary you are. Right? I don't care what ministry you work or whose secretary you are. I will address you if you feel that you have the need to disrespect me or disrespect my timings. Some of these people going there 8 o'clock and just looking at their watch all the time and waiting for 12 o'clock to go and eat lunch. And one of the things I can't take with these people, Lunch is from 12 to 1. When you go in there, 10 to 12, they don't lock up. And they tell you, you can't wait till direct 12 o'clock if I come off. 10 to 12. But yet, when it's 1 o'clock, you waiting for them till 10 minutes and 15 minutes after 1. These is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Unprofessional and no respect and regards for us, the public, who's providing you with a job by paying our taxes. I would say this to you. There's many times that something happen in a ministry or somewhere. You, the people, jump out. Oh, it's the government, and the government. The government has nothing to do with you who cannot change your mentality. You have born and you would have grown in that mentality. And you have to change that. No government can change that. Don't matter how a government work hard and try to change the system. If the system is not prepared to be changed, it will never change. And I'm speaking about you, those public servants inside there. Most of the time, those are the ones who try to make government fail. And that is why I would have mentioned it before. If you have people who are not prepared to work and they're not professional, get rid of them. Another experience last night I had. And this is an example of what I'm talking about. I was at a food shop, fast food place in Amil's Ward. I went to the counter. The young lady said, you have to wait 15 minutes. I said, okay. I went back into my car and I sit down, my wife and we waited. We waited over 15 minutes. Then when I get up and I go to the counter, I saw persons come after me and they're like collecting their food and gone. Well, it's nothing to row about, right? It can be sometime based on what they order, might be a faster thing than me, and mine is still there preparing. So I asked the young lady, I said, man, you tell me 50 minutes, it's more than 50 minutes. What happened? Because I saw the meal that I ordered, I saw two other persons collecting the same meal. So it couldn't be anything different. The same timing. She said, she was like, let me be specific. I have other people make orders and so on. It's like, it's not as if I open my mouth or I argue or I row or show even a bad expression. I just ask. And she was like just waiting for me to say something and kick off. I had to stop she tracks early. I had to stop she tracks. Because she going on like I come in and beg for the food. Well, the point is, she's just a staff there. But at the end of the day, who gets the blame? The business gets the blame. Because I'm going to say this to you and I point out that business. And then you're going to say, you know what? Lorma said don't go there by because then people unruly, they're disrespectful, they ain't got manners. And the poor businessman business is going to fall apart because of the attitude of your staff. You understand? And that's the same thing now in relation with the government or those ministries. You have a staff there, and because of his or her dirty attitude towards public servants, a disgruntled member of the public is going there to do business, and then you treated him or her like that, and then he's going to go out, and especially in the world like today, Pick up your phone and post it on Facebook. I went to the Ministry of Finance to pick up my check and the staff and this and that. And it have to be Ashley Singh. Is Ashley Singh telling them to do that? And poor Ashley Singh up in his office and don't even know what is going on down there. And this is the point that I'm making, is that these persons are unprofessional. And me personally, if I have staff like that, from the time I find you unprofessional, I don't want anything else to do with you. I'm telling you straight. Some people say, oh, give them a next chance. No, that is their attitude. They ain't got no second chance in that. That is their attitude. That is their personality. For a matter of fact, they didn't even value the job. They just came there because, oh, I want to make a fine bread for go some way. I want to make a hustle. And they didn't come there pouring out their heart as to say, okay, I love your business. I'm going to give you my service and help your business to grow because this is the kind of work I want to do. Those are the kind of staff you're supposed to have. If you're into cooking, you need to find somebody who loves cooking, somebody who prepared to take your business to the next level. You understand? Like, for instance, again, it was brought to my attention, my wife, she's my secretary. She's bringing me up to date with the news. We saw this young man, Shally Seafood, from the time he would have started his business. He's struggling in terms of getting his business to grip. First, there were complaints of quality of food, and then secondly, there were complaints of not frequent supplies, and then thirdly, there were complaints of staff and these things. If you're going into business, you have to be prepared. You have to be ready. You're doing seafood, you have to ensure you have your direct contact that you can never run out of stuff. But what caught me more is that the man was talking about, they got people coming on the job to do things, and still you have to check with them. The overcooking the prawns, the burning the fish, and all these things. Now, if you come to me, I have a cook shop, and you come to me and say that you are professional in cooking, or let us say you are more specialized in making roti. You understand? Some people put you to a test. All right, make roti, let me see. But if you specialize in making roti and I take you on, I shouldn't have the reason to come and tell you, hey, the roti get too much oil, or, oh, this roti too hard. You say you know to make roti. So I would expect that you do your job. So if I have to employ you as a staff and then come to keep a check on you, then therefore you are making my work even more hard. Because I think I would have employed you because I want to make my job easy and I want to provide a service, quality and quantity service to the people. What's the use in employing you to work and then you cannot meet the demands of my request for the business? So I will keep saying this to you all the time. This is something that needs to be examined from both sides. It's not just the workers. It's not just the business people. Right? This has to be examined from both sides. And again, the foundation of everything, first is your mentality and your attitude and the way you apply yourself to the job. There are many businesses I can point out here in Linden. Churches, for one. Let me talk about churches. You know what happened with some businesses? When you see they don't have opponents and competition, is when they take advantage. I use the words take advantage. But then again, sometime again, like I said, you can't blame the boss people because they're in Georgetown and they have a supervisor here, yes. I went in the churches today, right? Before I went in there, my daughter said she want chicken. And I coming up the highway until at Silver Hill, Till at Silver Hill. And I ringing this phone to place my order because I want it on time. When I reach my order's place, all I have to do is go and pick it up. These people not answering the phone. When I reach into churches, luckily there wasn't a big line or a long line. So I know where the telephone is being. I look over there and I saw the telephone there. So I took my phone and I started ringing the number just to see something. The cashier is here. The other young lady who parked in the box is there, and the phone is between the two of them. And the phone rang all the time, repeatedly. She just glanced at the phone and looked away. She would not pick up that phone. So I go up to her and I said when I reach up to the cashier, I said, "Man, your phone don't work." Right away is an attitude. Why? I said, I know we normally call in to make orders. So if people are calling to make or place an order, why you not answering the phone? I don't have to answer the phone. No, I don't have to answer the phone. I'm busy here and customers in front of the line. You see you there in front of the counter. I said, man, but if you know that you're not answering the phone, you need to tell the public that y'all don't have an option for calling orders. Because you can have people ringing the phone and you standing there. And while I'm talking, the attitude and the heights of my lash down I get in. You understand? And let me tell you something, and this is why people think that I'm rude, but I'm not rude. I address the situation on spot. I'm like a reflection to how you speak to me. I'm like a mirror. I consider myself like a mirror. If I talk to you and you give me an attitude, immediately that is what I return to you. I don't put into consideration, oh, probably she had a bad day. No, 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 no. I have bad days and good days. I have things I going through. But when I have to deal with the general public and I go out there to deal with people, people would never know that I have an issue or I have a problem. I put that aside in respect or to show respect to those who I am providing a service to. That is how it is done. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect. But when you're providing a service, you need to be professional. If you know you got mood swings and mood problem and you can't deal with certain things at certain time, don't get involved in certain business. Don't get in business where you have to encounter people. You have to deal with people. Because you're going to end up on a bad road. You're going to end up in unnecessary fights and arguments with people. If you get a mood swing, don't go to work. Don't go to the people work. And these are the things they'll be talking about. And I could go down more into details. I could go more down into details. Let us talk about our teachers. Let us talk about All right? Everybody knows that me and the teachers had a back and forth. Some people say, or most of them said I was disrespectful. And by no means I will sit here this morning to concede to that. I stand my ground because I say one thing. When you were going into the teacher profession, when you choose to go into the teaching profession, what were your motives? You're just going because of the salary? You're just going because you hear teacher work, got some sort of benefits? What is it? Now, if I were to go into the business of teaching, my motive would have been salary scale would have been the last thing behind my head. We know everybody going to something for something. You can't run from that. But here, why I say salary scale would have been the last thing on my list. People don't understand the importance of that particular profession as a teacher. As a teacher, your responsibility or responsibilities are great because, first, putting into consideration, you will be responsible for the lives of other people's children. That's the first thing. The second thing, you will be responsible for the society you live in for the next 5 years of that same batch of children going out there. Because whatever you instill in them is what they will put out there. Whatever you taught them, they would put that out there. Let me correct myself, right? Because this screenshot. Whatever they would have been taught, or whatever you teaches them, that is what they're going to be putting out there. So when you're going to become a teacher, there's a lot to put into consideration is that, hey, I will be responsible for molding society. So if you don't put a collective effort into that, if you don't put all the efforts into that, and you just go in there for salary, then we have a broken society. And you are in the wrong job. And when people like us, when parents like us speaks up about the errors, you become all offended. We have a right. Again, you are a public servant. And we have the right to speak out if something is not right. Let us speak about the police. The Ghana Police Service, or the Ghana Police Force, is there to provide protection to its citizens, to the public, against any form of threat of violence, and any other thing that is considered illegal. But there are some police officers out there who feel as though when they put on that uniform, they have the power to protect themselves. No, you are a servant to protect me, us, the people. you have a duty to ensure that one abide by the laws. Apart from that, on the flip side, the police have it very hard. The police job is very tough. Of recently, there was an incident in Linden here, I think about it 2 days ago, with a businessman getting into altercation with the police. I see many people jump up and they went after the police. Y'all gotta be careful. When I say y'all gotta be careful, you don't jump on situations and just judge based on what is put before you. You saw that video, what transpired in the compound. I wouldn't justify the police kicking the man. The police was definitely wrong to using excessive force. But any of you put into consideration what transpired prior to that video? What led to that situation there? Again, I am not justifying. I will not, and I am not justifying the police actions. I'm not condoning it. For a matter of fact, a few of those officers are under close arrest. And they will have to go through the normal process. They will be charged and what's not. But again, those police officers, they have mothers, they have fathers, they have sisters, they have brothers, they have children who are depending on them. They are simple human beings and citizens just like me and you. Why make it hard for them? I'm not saying again that there isn't some out there who has to be straight now. We got some unruly ones out there who feel them above the law. But again, not all are the same. You can't expect to get everything good coming out of that. There's a balance, a scale and balance. But because of one, you see all the police as a beast. You understand? These people have their job to do. And simple, the law tells you to comply. If the police observe something suspicious or they pull you over, if you have nothing, if you don't have, you're not doing anything wrong, why is it so hard for you to comply? If the man said he pull you over and he wants to make a check, yes, we know the law say you gotta come with a warrant, but to avoid a confrontation, to avoid a conflict and an argument, check. Officer, I got to move quick, just make a check quick. And you beat out, normal Guyanese style, you beat out. But no, some of us, especially those who believe that they have high political connections, believes that, they could handle the police and talk to the police anyhow. I have a lot of privileges, but I don't disrespect the police. And I would never disrespect the police. I gave them their respect. There was once a time I wouldn't doubt, I acted like that. But I come to realize that it is so wrong. Let me give you all a laugh. And it's a sad and a laughing situation in both sides with the police. All the police know me in Linden. Everyone, they know Kevin Lorimer. For a matter of fact, I'm a member of the Guyana Police Force, if you guys don't know that. Right? Let me see if I can find my ID. I don't have it on me. I'm a member of the Guyana Police Force. Publicly, I'm going to say that. But I don't misuse and abuse my privileges. Now, I pull up with my car. The standard operating procedures or the laws, the traffic laws and bylaws stipulates how certain writings and what's not should be in your vehicle. In this manner, the number plate. This speaks of the type of letter is being used, the size, and these things. I gonna take off my number plate and I put my own logo design in the area where the number plate should be, and then I print out the number, the car number on a sticker, and I got it pasted on the bumper. That's the front and the back. I want my car look nice. So I decided that, I set it up and I gone driving. Since the time I put it on, my wife said, she said, Kevin, she said, I expect better from you now. So why? She said, you know this wrong way you're doing that. I listen to she, but y'all know we men, we feel that we know it all sometimes. When a lady's talking to we feel that we know it all. Anyway, I left it and I got on the road. Turned from Republic Avenue going up Greenard Street. There is the police officer. Well, he flagged on the car. He didn't know the car because it's a new car I bought. I know that he first observed the problem with the number plate. So when I pull up to him, so wind down the window, look up. He said, oh, is you Larva? I said, yeah, buddy, what's going on? He said, hey, see the number plate? You know the police gonna stop you for the number plate, right? I said, yeah, man, I'm gonna search it out. And I drive off. But I guess y'all didn't even catch the joke that I catch out of it. The policeman stopped me because of my faulty number plate. The police stopped me to tell me that the police gonna stop me for the number plate. The police stopped me to tell me that the police will stop me for the number plate when he should have been the officer to discipline me. And when I drive off, I feel so very cold in my spirit. It reflects to what my wife said to me when I put it on. And I came, for the matter of fact, I went straight to the number plate place. I took it off. I put back my original number, my number plate, and I put it back where it's supposed to be. I didn't do that out of fear, but I did it out of respect. These people have their jobs to do. Why would we make it hard for them? Why would we make it hard for them? These people, when you and I are in our bed sleeping, these people run and round driving around your community to protect you, to take care of you. And yet you make it hard for them. They're human beings as well. They are human beings. They will make mistakes. They're bound to make mistakes, especially when they have to deal with the unruly public that we have today. And going back again now, if you look at everything that I'm putting together, it makes a lot of sense. Going back again, like I said, the teachers, you take a job because your responsibility is great, and you should understand your job is to help mold and change society. So when they change and they go out there, the police wouldn't have so much work, or for a matter of fact, no work. We have to start correcting our own. These police officers have a big task ahead of them. They have a lot of responsibilities because why? The society we live in today is very unruly and disrespectful. Some people feel that they're bigger than the law. I saw that video and I saw some comments under there. Sue the guy in the police force. Sue this body. Sue them. And again, please get me correct. I am not justifying the action of the officer that assaulted the man. All I'm saying, let us look on it on both sides. The police have the right to maintain law and order, and you have to give them the respect despite your political connections. Guys, I would have exceeded my time by far here. I'm going in almost to 2 hours. And I want to say that we need to make a collective effort, speaking in the sentiments of His Excellency, to make Guyana great again, to make Guyana better. We need to work hand in hand. Not because you have the store or you have the money and I just have the labor, you're going to take advantage of me. Because you could have all the money in the world. And if you don't have staff, you don't got to do the work yourself. And it's impossible for you to do your job yourself and then you have to run your store. You understand? Treat your workers, treat your staff as if they're gold. Because of them, you having customers on a daily basis, you have a flourishing business. And workers also, you need to treat customers better. You need to deal with them better, speak to them properly. Don't make we feel as though we come in and beg y'all. We paying. And customers as well. You have to be careful of how you approach some of these persons as well. Because some people feel that because they're spending the money, they could handle the workers or they could handle the boss man. So if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm not picking sides. What I'm saying, we need to make a collective effort in making this work. And that is what the president spoke of earlier. So guys, once again, let us work together as a one Guyana and make Guyana great again. With this being said, I want to say thank you all for being a part of this discussion. Happy Labor Day to each and every one of you. And I will see you when I see you again. Bye for now.